Hello, I'm Lorianne Lumbee, and this is The Way of Love. The Way of Love video podcast is an inspirational journey into the ultimate purpose of our lives. The purpose to remember our true nature as love. Gathering wisdom and insights from ancient traditions, I piece together and present the knowledge and tools we need to transcend division and return to love. What begins as an individual journey blossoms into a movement, one that has the potential to change our whole world. Be that love and be the change. Today's topic is, what would love do? We're all familiar with I guess it's an acronym, WWJD, what would Jesus do? In this discussion, we're going to explore something beyond the divisions of religion, beyond the divisions of doctrine and dogma, and instead look at that question from a much wider perspective, a perspective that is not hindered by the doctrine or the dogma that has been conditioned into us. Neither is it hindered by our societal or cultural divisions or conditioning. Instead, it's the question about love. Love that is our source. Love that is our true and original nature. Love that is the fullness of our potential when and as we heal ourselves of the wounds, the trauma, the places within us that have forgotten that we are love. In the question, what would love do? We're looking at and we're exploring decision making in our human journey. Decision making that transcends ethics, that transcends belief, that transcends political platforms and conditioning. This is a transcendence that goes beyond the limitations of, well, I guess we'll call it the human desire for certainty. The truth is, the desire for certainty is an ego trap. Much in the same way that is the desire for security, safety, and surety. The human experience is everything but certain. And in many ways, everything but safe and secure. The human experience is unpredictable, chaotic, sometimes fearful and anxiety-producing. One of the ways in which we attempt to mitigate and manage the anxiety that we feel in the face of pure uncertainty is to create perceived certainty. Morals, ethics, dogma, doctrine, political platforms are all ways in which we try to control our world so that we can control our anxiety. It is very clear that these attempts at creating certainty don't work, especially in the very nebulous and uncertain world in which we live, and all of the different components that go into making decisions and choices in our lives. The choices that we are invited and often forced to make in our human experience are not always easy. And arriving at those decisions are not cut and dried. And there is not some outside perceived authority that can tell us what's right for us at any time in our human experience. And yet, as human beings, we keep trying to create this idea of moral certitude. Our life choices are messy. And we can't decide what's right for someone else when we don't know the circumstances that are bringing them to face decisions that sometimes religion and political platforms and conditioning have deemed immoral, evil, sinful, deadly. Instead, we are invited to ask the question, what would love do? And the answer will vary from circumstance to circumstance, person to person, situation to situation. Let's talk about some, I don't know what we would call these, controversial topics. Abortion. The pro-life versus pro-choice argument. What would love do? Asks us to move beyond religious dogma, doctrine, judgment, political platforms, and any other institution or structure that would tell us or legislate what is right for us. The question instead is, what would love do? When asking that question, we have to go deep within ourselves and ask an even bigger question, what's most life-giving in this situation? And the reality is, looking at all of the various parameters that go into placing women and their partners in the position where they have to decide whether to keep or terminate a pregnancy. Those decisions are never easy, and it's not a decision anyone ever wants to make. Entering into the question, what would love do, will sometimes guide women and their partners and their doctors to choose that what's most life-giving would be to end a pregnancy. Maybe the fetus is profoundly malformed. Maybe the woman is experiencing an ectopic pregnancy. And things get even more complicated when we look at, in the United States, some of the current laws in place regarding abortion. Laws that place women in severe danger for medical procedures that ultimately have nothing to do with taking the life, but are instead about saving a life. That question, what would love do, is something that can be applied in every single life decision, and not just the controversial ones like abortion. Sometimes love chooses to end a relationship. Sometimes love chooses divorce. Sometimes love says yes. Sometimes love says no. Sometimes love puts us in a position where we need to set very strong boundaries or enact tough love with people that we care about, because those boundaries are for our own well-being and ultimately for the well-being of the other. What would love do in the face of terminal illness? An illness that is not treatable through Western science, or you've exhausted all of your efforts at getting rid of that disease or healing from that disease. What would love do in the face of sure, excruciating physical pain? What does love do in the face of unmanaged depression? Depression that has defied all methods of treatment and support. That question, what would love do, forces us, invites us to move beyond this desire for moral certitude, moral certitude. It invites us to move past our conditioning. It invites us to look at our laws and our ethics more closely and to ask, is something that's right for someone else right for me? Is something that's right for me right for someone else? The truth is, we are the only ones as individuals, and individuals in relationship with our highest consciousness, that which some might call God. We are the ones as individuals who have the power to discern, to decide through careful discernment what is the most loving thing I can do in the face of this decision. It's complicated. It's messy. Some people might not like the decisions that we're making. But only ourselves as individuals knows what is most loving for ourselves, and we are invited to act accordingly. Asking that question, what would love do, also invites us to step away from judgment. We cannot judge the interior nature of another being. We cannot judge the experiences or conditions that have led them to a decision that maybe we could not make for ourselves. What would love do says, love one another, honor one another, respect one another, and trust that the other person knows what's best for themselves and is doing the best they can in making the most loving decision for themselves. As we navigate these tumultuous waters of humanity's ongoing search for certitude, let us ask ourselves instead the bigger question: what would love do? And allow that love to be our guiding force. I'm Lorianne Lumbee with Soul School, and this is the Way of Love video podcast. If you found this to be helpful or informative, inspiring, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you're interested in learning more about what we have to offer at Soul School, please check out my website at www.loriannlumbee.com. Thank you.